why the Gen Zs are not interested in politics.
Gen Zs fail to understand that every aspect of their life is governed by politics.
How did you got the interest in politics?
Politics offers so much binge-worthy content.
There is always a fear when you talk about this kind of sensitive issues.
A lot of policies are made, but they just remain. BJP alone received 1,000 crore plus funding in the last election cycle. Just because you don't take interest in politics, politics won't stop taking interest in you.
Hello, all the participants and viewers. Today is another podcast with Om Satani regarding the so many various aspects of the politics. We will be discussing the most important, crucial topics with him. I'm more excited to discuss these aspects because the questions are going to be so much like, I would say, controversial or the very much important for everyone. And he will be answering each and every questions. Let's see how does it goes with him. Let's start with the podcast. And hello Om, welcome to the podcast. All the participants wants to hear from you regarding your opinions of politics and like the muscle power in the politics, the money power in the politics, and there are a lot of the things. The first question, when we start with the politics, why the Gen Zs are not interested in politics?
I find it a very relevant question in today's times. So there is this ancient Roman quote, give them bread and entertainment and they will never revolt. So there is this saying that if a king gives its subjects food to eat and some entertainment, the subjects don't really care how the king is ruling, what kind of a person he is. Right. So I find it very relevant in today's era. See, Gen Z is a very blessed generation, right? The access to internet, the access to information is higher than ever before. But how is Gen Z utilizing it? You will see people debating over which cafe or coffee is more aesthetic, but they don't care about which policy is better for them, for their future, right? You'll see people will wait. Gen Zs, my friends, would wait for hours in the Coldplay ticket queues, but when it comes to voting on the election day, they will ghost it like it's their ex, right? People will constantly complain, they will constantly criticize and compare our India's education, India's cleanliness, unemployment with that of the foreign countries. But barely anyone would take any conscious effort to even Google the name of the education minister or the person in charge of the environment department, right? But the same person, if you ask him Taylor Swift's dating history or Marvel multiverses theories, they're a walking encyclopedia. So, Gen Zs fail to understand that every aspect of their life is governed by politics. Be it vaping, be it electric cigarettes, states like Karnataka have banned it. Your favorite game PUBG was banned by the Indian government. So just because you don't take interest in politics, politics won't stop taking interest in you.
Very true, very true. That kind of psychology and I understood that we have to understand that impact on our life. I think another podcast we also discussed the importance. My next question, you are also blessed.
Yes.
Then how did you got the interest in politics?
So, sir, anyone who finds politics boring, he'll be a fool. I mean, we are a Netflix generation, right? Politics offers so much binge-worthy content with lots of plot twists, right? The Lok Sabha debates are more fierce than WWE SmackDown matches, right? The governments are falling every day. Some new government is coming overnight. Chief ministers are being changed like cast members of Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma. I mean, this Indian politics is the most interesting thing that you can follow and keep yourself updated with, right? So what intrigued me, so I might hate the finance minister, but still it is she who will decide whether my favorite street momos would be taxed 5% or 28%. So I have to, keep myself updated with the politics. And politics is the only series wherein you can choose the next episode. How? Your vote.
Okay.
Yeah, your vote is the remote control.
Very
So
true.
you have the power to change the system. All of us have the power, right? But do we really exercise it? You'll have to start taking interest in politics to, understand. And all of us complain, right? Everybody wants change, but nobody wants to change, right? That's the irony of our generation. So it's high time that we stop treating politics as a niche hobby for uncles. Let's accept politics for what it is. It is our future. It is the user manual of how our life will be, of how our succeeding generations would be.
When we talk about the politics, a lot of the politicians and the books, our books, suggest that politics is about for the people and by the people. Now, is it really true in India?
So, when our forefathers wrote our Indian constitution, they had envisioned an India which is for the people, by the people, of the people. But in today's time, the quote that resonates more with the reality is of the nepotism, for the powerful, by the profitable. Right. So there's this organization, Association of Democratic Reforms, right? A survey report conducted by them concluded that 70% is a staggering rate, right? 70% of Indian MPs and MLAs, elected MPs and MLAs, have serious IPC criminal cases registered against them. These are the people who are making laws on women's safety, laws on crimes, sitting in the parliament, and they themselves have criminal cases registered against them. When it comes to political funding, BJP alone received 6,000 crore plus funding in the last election cycle.
Can't believe.
The irony is, so electoral bonds, we all know, right? A very heated issue. In this country, political funding has been legalized, right? There's this company, Future Gaming and Services, which comes from Tamil Nadu. The net profit of this company for 4 preceding years was 230 crore, I quote. And the amount of electoral bonds that it donated was 1,100 crores. Just see the amount of corruption that is there, right? Money is flowing like anything in the hands of politicians. Every politician on an average spends around 100 to 200 crore per constituency. Tell me, where is the space or room for an ordinary man to enter the politics, for a grassroots level worker to come to the top? There are exceptions, I'm not denying. Narendra Modi himself is an exception. But how many such exceptions do we really see, right? So, in my opinion, this is something deep rooted in our system, and if not decades, it will take centuries for this to change. So yeah, this is a very serious issue.
Let's see how it goes. Let's see who changes this whole system and revolutionize politics. Now, my next question is that whatever we discussed, I think you wanted to conclude that politics is about just money power and the muscle power. And now, the next question is that we all have seen the Nayak movie.
Yes.
Where Anil Kapoor was one day CM. Yes. What would you do if you were at his position?
So, there's actually a lot of things I cannot begin with, but if I prioritize certain agendas that I would, focus more on, the first one is red tapeism. So, if you want to start a factory in India, it will take around 1 to 2 years just for the permissions, clearances, permits, licenses. For setting up a factory in countries like China and Vietnam, it just takes 1 week, right? And this is the reason why we don't have a lot of FDI, foreign direct investment, because there's a lot of corruption. One signature, there is an entire hierarchy of officers that you have to go to. You have to give bribe at every table, file after file, bribe after bribe, the Tariq pe Tariq thing of the famous movie. So what happens in India is, without corruption, without, पैसे खिलाने के बिना गायों का चारा भी अलॉट नहीं होता. चारा घोटाला, Lalu Prasad Yadav. So I will work on creating a transparent system wherein accountability is there, transparency is there, a sort of single window clearance system. A lot of states like Gujarat have implemented it to a large extent, but I wish to take it pan-India, wherein every tender, every license or clearance that is there, it is awarded in a transparent manner, and you don't have to carry a bag full of money to get your file signed. Okay. Yeah. Second thing that I would wish to implement would be one nation, one election. So election, there are more elections in India than there are politicians. First of all, we have Lok Sabha elections every 5 years. Then there are dozens of states in India each having their own state assembly elections. We have hundreds of municipal corporation, city elections of mayor. Then there are panchayat elections, Zilla Parishad election. Amit Shah, after Lok Sabha election ended, he went directly to campaign for Maharashtra election. Maharashtra election ended, he went directly to campaign for the Delhi assembly election. Where is the time for policy making, sir? Most of the elections are busy campaigning for their parties. So this time is being wasted. Secondly, resources and money, right? When elections are there, all government employees are on election duty. One Lok Sabha election costs somewhere around 40 to 50,000 crores. One Lok Sabha election. And then there are other elections as well. Just imagine if this money could be diverted to other funds. All of this is eventually being borne by the state exchequer, right? So if you conduct elections simultaneously, wherein एक बार में सारे election ही आप खत्म कर दो, so what this will lead to is optimal use of resources, money and time. The time which is wasted by politicians, आप देखो, today you roam in the roads and streets, election banners, election boarding, ऐसा कोई एक month नहीं होगा जहाँ पे कोई election नहीं हुआ होगा, कोई ना कोई election शुरू ही हो रहता है, right? So we need to, bring this one nation election thing into the place. And the third and final thing that I find is majority of our cabinet ministers, MPs, MLAs are in their 50s and 60s and 70s.
Right.
You asked me, the first question was, why is Gen Z not interested in politics? Why will they be interested in politics, sir? Because the people who are ruling, they're not able to resonate, right? We have ministries like information technology, electronics, skill development, entrepreneurship, and the minister of such ministries is a 70-year-old Buddha. Now, I'm no insult, no harsh feelings, but you cannot resonate, because someone who's a 70-year minister of IT, sir, he has not even studied anything about IT. It is something which has come up in recent years. So you need a young face, a dynamic person who can handle such portfolios. So a rule should be made wherein 30 to 40% of the cabinet ministers should be below 35, below 40, so that there is some modernization, some fresh perspective coming, and not that old school thinking which is ruling the country.
Recently that happened. I think I read somewhere that China has made a rule that each and every student in the China have to study compulsorily the AI in the school itself.
Exactly.
That's compulsion for
Correct.
every child
Correct.
to study the AI. Now, I don't know when it will happen in India, and it will happen or not. That is the biggest question mark. When is the...
So that's the thing about India, right? A lot of policies are made, but they just remain on paper. In practice, in real life, nothing is really implemented. So what India lacks is implementation. New education policy 2020, right? It's 2025. 5 years have passed. No offense, but I have not seen any serious implementation by any school, college, or university, be it IIM, be it IIT. I'm not talking about tier 2, tier 3 colleges. Even this niche institutions of our country, barely there is any implementation, right? So what our government needs to work upon is implementation. Policies तो बनाना, तो कोई भी बना, ChatGPT में लिखोगे, वो ChatGPT will make a policy for you. But implementation, अभी problem क्या है implementation में? एक तो corruption. Secondly, Indians have sort of given up, is what I feel.
फर्क ही
नहीं पड़ता, right? Today you see, how many of us really vote on the basis of education or the policy that education? Nobody, caste, religion, gender and region, bas, khatam. We don't care. AI padha rahe, nahi padha rahe, we don't care. So people, change starts from within. People need to be more conscious. People need to make their governments more accountable. Tabhi desh badlega.
Now the topic that we are discussing, the politics, there is always a fear when you talk about this kind of sensitive issues, that freedom of speech.
Yes.
Right? As we are discussing, you may be worried, I may have some kind of thought that, अरे यार कुछ उल्टा हो गया तो, right? So what do you think, whether the people should have a freedom of speech in India or not?
Oh, this is my favorite topic. So, freedom of speech and expression. On paper, Article 19 of the Indian Constitution guarantees every individual freedom to express himself freely. But is it really practiced? All of us use social media. We've recently seen the Kunal Kamra incident. A comedian making jokes on a politician. Okay, fine. just imagine the level of intolerance. The people, the workers of that particular political party went to the studio where this stand-up comedy show was there. They vandalized the entire studio. They beat up the owner of that studio. They openly threatened Kunal Kamra that the day we see you, we will kill you. I mean, just imagine the India that we are making, right? The level of intolerance that is there, dissent. No politician wants to face dissent, right? Criticism. सबको ऐसे ही चाहिए कि मेरे आसपास लोग मेरा अच्छा अच्छा बोले, right? So there is this another quote that I'd like to mention. A king without critics will fail, even if he has no enemies. It is very important to have people around you who criticize you. Criticism should not be taken in a negative manner, right? Kabir in 13th century gave this doha that निंदक नेड़ा राखिए आंगड़ी कुटी बंधाई बिन पानी बिन साबुन निर्मल करे सुहाय. We should surround ourselves with people, not with people who flatter us, but with people who bring our flaws. Now, what will happen is when people are bringing your flaws in public, you have an opportunity to work upon it. And as you keep on working on your flaws, you become perfect, right? So, freedom of speech and expression in India should be there. In my opinion, free speech is a weapon against tyranny. It is a tool for social progress, and it is a mirror for those in power. We say media is the fourth pillar of the democracy, but free media is actually the foundation of any democracy, right? So there should be freedom of speech and expression, but there is some nuance to it. Now, Article 19, which guarantees freedom of speech and expression, Article 19, Section 2, places reasonable restrictions on freedom of speech and expression. Now, you cannot allow people to say whatever and wherever and whenever, right? In 2020, when Donald Trump was there for an official visit in India, in Delhi, on one hand, Donald Trump's official visit was going on, and on the other hand, in Old Delhi, communal riots were going on between Hindus and Muslims. How were they triggered? There were local politicians who gave very hate-porn speeches against people of a particular community. So if you allow people to speak whatever they want, then it might lead to communal tensions, riots, fights, a lot of triggering, right? Intentional triggering. Reasonable restrictions should also be there when it comes to national security. In 2008, when terrorist attack happened in Mumbai, Taj Hotel, the terrorists were inside the Taj Hotel, the media people were outside the Taj Hotel. The foolish media people were covering everything that NSG was doing outside. Okay, now NSG is going to enter Taj. And the Pakistani handler sitting in Pakistan was watching TV and giving tips to their terrorists inside that, okay, now NSG is going to enter, they're going to enter from here. Arey, bro, you should keep there is something known as, censorship. So there should be certain reasonable restrictions. If you give absolute freedom of speech and expression, then even that is harmful. So there should be a balance wherein freedom of speech and expression is not allowed to be misused, but at the same time, judicious and conducive use of freedom of speech and expression is not only allowed, but encouraged.
You have given, I think, each and every question's answers is like, I was like amazed. Okay, you have so much knowledge about politics. You have so much strong opinions. Strong opinions.
Exactly.
He was having the very strong opinion. He believes, whether you like it or not, but he will say whatever he wants to say.
Freedom of speech
Freedom
and
of
expression.
speech. And thank you, Om, for all of such your insights about the politics and the reality and the problems, the issues in the politics, what the youth should do now in this case, and all the participants, all the viewers have understood that what is now, what kind of India we want in this world. I hope you all liked the video, and thank you so much for watching this podcast. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.